We are just a few days away from King and Queen of the Ring in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, where Becky Lynch will defend her Women's World Championship against Liv Morgan. And a lot of fans in the IWC are already starting to mention how Liv Morgan needs to walk out of Saudi Arabia as the brand new Women's World Champion. They're already talking about how, well, Becky Lynch's contract is coming out. There's been no report of her re-signing with the WWE anytime soon. So therefore that means Liv Morgan has to win that championship because they need to take the title off of a superstar who's about to not have a contract with WWE. And yeah, those two are very real possibilities. Again, it's the world of pro wrestling. It's the world of sports entertainment. Anything can happen. Becky Lynch can retain, which I think is what's going to happen. And, or Liv Morgan can end up winning this match. Maybe thanks to damage control, maybe to set up Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam for the Women's World Championship. That might be the way to go. That might be a pretty damn good feud, damn good rivalry for that to go. But here's the thing, here's the issue with that. Number one, Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan doesn't need the championship necessarily. It does not need the world title involved. Much like Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk in this juncture in time, it does not need the world title. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan do not need the world championship to go at it down the line. And there's a lot of fans out there, myself included, that have complained about how there is a lack of building up women's division, especially on Raw, especially on SmackDown, where the only feud, the only rivalry we get between female superstars is for the actual championship. Number two, I'm more interested in keeping Damage Control strong, at least for the time being, at least for the start of their Monday Night Raw run. And for that to happen, Becky Lynch must retain her title against Liv Morgan in Saudi Arabia. And then Io Sky, if we recall, she's a former women's champion. Let's keep her on that momentum. Let's give her that status to the casual fan base. And let's just put this mega group in Damage Control against Becky Lynch. That way you give the big babyface a tremendous foil, much like with Bayley, a tremendous foil to overcome down the line. And for all the naysayers, all the doubters who think that, well, Becky Lynch hasn't re-signed a contract with WWE, so she might be leaving World Wrestling Entertainment, I think that's a very naive way of thinking. And again, it might happen. They might be able to shut me up, and by all means, if they can surprise me like that, by all means. But Seth frickin' Rollins already re-signed with WWE. He's staying with the company. So why wouldn't Becky Lynch? And again, this isn't a matter of throwing shade at AEW. But I honestly, the way Rollins has spoken about AEW in the past, I would suppose that Becky Lynch agrees with him. They have some similar sentiment on that. Not to mention, they have a tremendous star in AEW like Mercedes Moné, and they're having her go after the mid-card title in that company. Enough said. Again, not throwing shade, but that's the perception. Because the Women's World title in AEW, that's a top title, which makes the TBS title the mid-card title. That's how they presented it when they first announced it. Now, on this side of things, again, Liv Morgan can walk out of King and Queen of the Ring Women's World Champion. There's absolutely no problem with that. And then we get a rematch between the two at Clash at the Castle. And then do we even have a good enough babyface to carry a feud with Liv Morgan while Rhea Ripley makes her return? Do we even have enough babyfaces on the female roster to carry this maybe into SummerSlam for Rhea Ripley's return, if she does indeed return in Cleveland? Maybe. I don't know her exact timetable. But much like with the Battle Royal, where they crowned Becky Lynch as Women's World Champion, one of your top stars gets injured, you got to give the title to a sure thing, and they can carry that forward. But again, things might change. Nothing is set in stone. If you ask me, Becky Lynch is retaining her title, and then she's moving on to dealing with Damage Control and defending their Women's World Championship against Io Sky down the line. That's a much more sure thing for the feud, much more sure thing for the rivalry. In the meantime, Liv Morgan focuses on, well, I couldn't take the Women's World title from Rhea. I couldn't take it from Becky to spite Rhea. Well, let's focus on trying to take Dominic Mysterio. I think that's interesting television. That's something fans want to see. That's something I would want to see. But again, a lot of things can happen. We still have Monday Night Raw later on tonight. So, with that said, leave your thoughts. Who do you think is walking out of Saudi Arabia as Women's World Champion? Is Becky Lynch going to retain, or will we have a new World Champion in Liv Morgan? Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in the comment section below. With that said, I'm Alexis Carrillo. This has been Wrestling Talk, and I'll see you next time.